One of the things that a lot of people say really trip them up is, or really confuse them, is when they said, here's a bunch of numbers, order them from greatest to smallest. And they had things like fractions and decimals and percentages all mixed in, and they didn't know how to compare them. So it'll say something like, order these from greatest to smallest, and they don't know how. So with these, the easiest way to do it, I think, is just convert them all into decimals. Decimals are really easy to see which one's the largest and which one's the smallest. So I say just convert everything to a decimal and then compare them. So thinking back to what we've done in the previous two lessons, we have 75%. Let's convert it into a decimal. Drop the percentage. Add that decimal to the end of the whole number. And move it 2 places to the left. So this becomes 0.75. And then we move on. Then in order to convert from a fraction to a decimal, if you remember, we divide the numerator by the denominator. So for the sake of time, I'm going to use my calculator. So I'm going to say 4 divided by 5 gives me 0.8. And then we just have 0.03 at the end. So looking at these are easy to compare to each other. So we have, this one will be first, second, third. So since I've lined them up, I know the 0.8 is the fourth, this is the greatest, the 75%, I'll put the percentage sign there so we remember that that was the percentage, and then the 0.3 at the end. So that's those ordered from greatest to smallest. So let's look at the next one. And that one's a little tricky because it has those whole numbers, those mixed fractions, those percentages greater than 100. So let's look at this, 1 and 1/4. So when we're converting to a decimal, we always just leave that whole number there, and then we divide the numerator by the denominator, 1 divided by 4. And that gives me 0.25. So this becomes 1.25. I'm going to keep the decimal. And then on this one, I'm going to add that decimal point and move it 2 places to the left. So this becomes 1.24. So in this case, I have my 1.35 first, my 1 and 1/4, and then 124%. All right. Lastly, and I'm going to erase so we have some more room to see this. I'm going to rewrite that problem. So this one says 14/6, 2.15, and 215.5%. So we're going to convert them all to decimals. So in this first one, I'm going to take the numerator divided by the denominator. That gives me 2.333333. So I'm just going to round it to 2.33. I'm going to leave the decimal as it is. And then for this one, move the decimal 2 places to the left, 2.155. All right, so it's pretty obvious this one, 14/6, is the biggest one. Then it's kind of a little tricky. You have 2.15 and 2.155. So since this one has a 5, if we were to put another decimal place on this, it would be 0.0000000. So when you compare 0 to 5, well, the 5 is going to be bigger. So this 215.5% is going to be bigger than the 2.15. And so those are from greatest to smallest. So I'm going to give you 2 examples, and I want you to try them on your own. come back and look at these. Reminder, if you didn't get enough time to work on them, feel free to pause the video and spend some more time working on these. So let's look at the first one. So it's a percentage. So what we're going to do is we're going to move that decimal point 2 places to the left to make it a decimal. Add that 0 in the blank spot. So it becomes 0.005. I'm going to erase that just so I remember what the original number was. Then I'm going to leave the 0.0045. And then in this one, we're going to take 2 and divide it by 100. So 2 divided by 100, 2 divided by 100 gives me 0.02. So looking at these, it might be a little confusing. We have a lot of those decimal spots that are zeros at the beginning. So what's important is we want to look at each decimal place and compare it. So 0, 0, 0, they're all on the same page in that decimal point. 0, 0, 2. So 0, 0, and 2, which one's bigger? Well, that 2. So that 2 100ths is our greatest number. And then we're going to keep going. So 5 and 4, well, that 5 is bigger than 4. So that 0.5% is greater. And then we have that 0.0045. So that is the order from greatest to smallest of that one. So let's look at the next one. It starts out with our decimal, and we're just going to keep that decimal there. We don't want to do anything to it. And then we have 7/8. So 7 divided by 8 gives us 0.875. And then this one goes 2 places to the left. So 0.825. All right, so looking at those, let's go in the same way we did for this one. We're going to look at each decimal place. So we have 8, 8, 8. We can keep going. 9, 7, 2. So 9 is greater, so 0.89. Then 7 and 2, so 7 is greater than 2, so 7/8. And then on this last one, we have 82.5%. So that's how we compare decimals, fractions, and percentages. If you're ever unsure, put everything in a decimal first. That is going to be your first step every time. Put it in a decimal. It's easier to work with. You can put decimals in your calculator. Decimals are just an easier number to work with. So that's the end of this video. In the next one, we're going to be looking at decimals, fractions, and percentages in word problems.